Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today we have entered day 126 of the ongoing war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. And not a lot of battlefield discussion to be had at this point. Not a lot of changes in terms of what has happened yesterday in terms of any kind of territorial changes. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things that are going on and just try and spread a little bit of awareness. So today I was looking at the Washington Post. Some folks in the metropolitan area of the District of Columbia sometimes call it the Washington Compost, but you call it what you will. But the Washington Post today, and this is June 29, 2022, and this was posted at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is where you have the manipulation of what is happening on the ground in terms of the mass media, specifically here in the United States. And this article, the headline, Europe. Near Kherson, Ukrainians regain territory in major counteroffensive. And unfortunately, obviously for Ukrainian forces and those who support the Ukrainian cause, that is simply not true. There is, in what you would define in military terms, no major Ukrainian counteroffensive. Now, when I think of a major counteroffensive, you usually think of a multiple brigade counteroffensive. Now, obviously, the writer of this article is Isabel Herjudon. I very difficult in saying her last name. Khurshdyan. Yeah, and Isabel believes for some reason that there is a major counteroffensive, and that's coming from the Washington Post. And again, it's just something that is not happening on the ground. More importantly, the website that I have up tends to be, well, it doesn't tend to be, is a pro-Ukrainian website. So we're tracking events on the ground in terms of what the Ukrainians are actually reporting. And this is the Deep State map live, and clearly you can see how the Russian forces are being portrayed. They're being portrayed as pigs with helmets on, and these signify the various Russian units. So I do use it, and it's unfortunate that the developers of this site can't just kind of set aside the way they feel and accurately maybe put actual military symbology as opposed to these pigs. But if we again, so today's the 29th, and we'll go back we'll just go back 4 days, and we'll have a look at this major counteroffensive that is currently underway in Kherson. And maybe I'll scroll on a little bit more, and that kind of gives you a complete view of what's happening. And go back to the 20th. All right, so roughly from the 19th to 20th on, and we can kind of see what is happening. And again, these reports are coming directly from the ground in terms of what these individuals that are posting believe what has been taken or not been taken, and where, generally speaking, offensive operations are going on. So yes, back on the 21st, we did see this bulge. This was probably a battalion, 2 battalion sized operation by the Ukrainian military that kind of pressed towards Kherson. This is where we initially received some of those reports that the Ukrainians were 10 kilometers from Kherson, and that has been since ruled out in terms of what is actually happening. So immediately the Russians pushed back up the M14 highway, and those forces of the Ukrainians were pushed back. But we're just going forward. 23rd, 24th, and you can see little bits of territory changing hands. Not a lot, just a few kilometers at most. Which this is very much indicative of a static line in terms of what we're seeing in warfare. So again, this is not indicative of a major Ukrainian offensive, and that is what I was referring to in past videos that I've put out. That I believe the West is at times Western media, mainstream Western media, is at times painting a false narrative on what is happening on the ground. And obviously you have a major newspaper based in the capital of the United States that's putting out garbage like that is just simply a false narrative. And I think if you read the article, it really kind of it's a situational piece that maybe is designed to, well, the headline is designed to, I think, grab the viewer's attention, but unfortunately here in the United States, a lot of people who look at the news only look at the top headlines. And so if you're the uninformed voter, the uninformed person here in the United States, which unfortunately is the vast majority of certain demographics, then in age groups, let me back up. I mean specifically age groups. So if you look at the headline, obviously it says something different. But then if you start reading the article, it's more of a situational piece, localized piece that is just something that this writer is seeing on the ground that's really, really localized and is in no way symbolic of a major Ukrainian counteroffensive. So I just wanted to point that out, and I've been trying to combat that as this war has been going on, because I think it's very, very important to have the truth in the media. But wanted to point that out. We also have now seen that the Turks are now going to allow. I don't know how NATO has gotten to this point, but where Erdogan, that's just such a bastion of democracy, right? In Turkey, is now going to allow Finland and Sweden to join NATO. But it comes with a price. And what is that price? Well, that price is that EU member states, and specifically Sweden and Finland, are now going to have to extradite persons of interest, aka what Turkey is defining as terrorists, to Turkey. So, where does that end? Does that mean that that Turkey, in its infinite wisdom, is now going to have the capacity to extradite what it believes are criminals from the EU and certain NATO member states? That certainly appears to be what could be happening in regards to this Turkish demand that they get until they will allow Finland and Sweden to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. I don't know. Does anybody believe for a moment? And this is answer this in the comment section. Feel free. But does anybody for a moment believe that if the balloon goes up, if there is a all-out war between, let's say, the Russians and the Baltic states, or something happens between Poland and Belarus and the Russians, does anybody believe for 1 minute that Turkey is going to honor its Article 5 obligations under the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or is Turkey simply using this organization for its benefit? And I got to tell you, I do not believe for 1 minute that Turkey would honor any of those obligations under the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. I've discussed that before, and I'm just not going to pick on Turkey. I'm also going to just kind of throw it out there, and I believe right now Germany would not honor its Article 5 obligations as well. So, at this point, we continue to see the expansion of NATO, and we're kind of in this situation now because of that situation to begin with. And the reality is, as NATO expands and takes on more and more of these nation states who have not invested enough in their own national defense to protect themselves, and that's why they feel they have to join NATO, then I don't think it is increasing the strength of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's actually expanding it and quite possibly making it weaker. And we saw that especially when the Baltic states were accepted. Now, I don't think in terms of the strategic situation on the ground, would having Sweden enter NATO degrade NATO capacity? No, I don't think so. I think Sweden may benefit the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Would Finland? Again, you're kind of poking the bear, but I don't think it is a strategic error to allow Finland either in terms of its positional situation on the map and the ability of NATO to come to the aid of those nations. In the Baltics, it's just something that is very, very difficult, and was really just a stupid decision to allow that to happen. And then you look at Turkey. Now I think Turkey is a classic example of what then is different than what is now. And obviously the political situation in Turkey at the time that the Turks became part of NATO was different than what Turkey looks like now, obviously. And again, I just do not feel under the current political environment in Turkey, and that may not change for some time. I would say at this point Turkey is probably gravitating away from a open democracy as opposed to moving towards some of the democratic processes you see in other parts of Western Europe. But then at the same time, the EU is more or less a tyrannical organization in terms of the way it institutes internal policies. And obviously there is a reason why England pulled out, the United Kingdom pulled out of, did the Brexit. So, I mean, there is a reason for everything. And again, even in Ukraine, we are seeing that individuals in Ukraine are kind of hesitant about joining the EU. So there is that want to join NATO for the defense agreements, but EU is a little bit different. You're starting to throw away some aspects of your sovereignty when you go that route. But anyway, back to what we're seeing on the ground. Again, not a lot of changes today. We'll kind of go back a few days, and you can see that the Russians are still pushing up here towards Kharkov and going back to. You can see they've kind of solidified their hold on this area and kind of met that initial Ukrainian offensive that took place in the north. Not a huge, probably much larger offensive in terms of what we're seeing near Kherson, at least, in terms of the Washington Post reporting. Izum, we continue to hear massing and deployments of Russian troops are really trying to solidify their hold along the Donets River basin, and then look to cross the river as well. And we're seeing that continuing in terms of positioning by Russian forces. And again, just not a lot of movements going on right now. And I think we will probably see the next territory absorption take place around Lysychansk. I've discussed this pocket, in great detail, and I just don't think it's a situation for the Ukrainians that the Ukrainians will be able to hold this area, given just the position on the battlefield and the way this salient is at the moment. And you can kind of see that is the focus right now of what the Russians are really looking to do in terms of the Sloviansk-Severodonetsk Bakhmut pocket. But that's where we're sitting for today. Again, thanks for joining us. We will have more content very, very soon. I am composing a video and doing some more research and getting some more information about what is happening along the border with Sudan and Ethiopia. And then obviously I am looking very, very closely at the Tigray conflict with the Oromo Liberation Army. I'm still monitoring that. Obviously, it's very, very difficult to get information, but I am working on something and watching that very, very closely. The Anaconda, if you're into human rights and you are looking at what's happening in Ukraine, and I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, while food is being used as an economic weapon in Ukraine, food is being used as a lethal weapon in the former state of Ethiopia in regards to the siege of Tigray. More to come on that very, very soon. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.